like I said, I am gonna have to pop away in a second when the oven goes off.
This we do plan it for this time every week.
Listen, I was gone this is my cleaning weekend, and I was gone all day yesterday. So a bunch of the chores that I needed to get done yesterday got pushed to today.
You had to take all day to do them?
Cooper, I didn't get out of bed till fucking 1. So,
okay,
yes.
Well. Wait, that makes me feel less bad for you.
Well, I slept like shit this week, so I slept in extra late. Because I didn't sleep in on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I didn't sleep in Friday because I had work. I had all work all this past week. So Sunday was my only day to sleep in. And I got work again tomorrow.
Hey, you're speaking to the choir. I'm also a working stiff myself.
So that's been my day. I don't know where all the time has gone, but I've been doing chores. I've been cooking and cleaning, and I don't know where the time went. I feel like I haven't sat down forever.
When you woke up at 1, so.
Yeah. It also didn't help this album was an hour long.
I'll do it.
That's one hour gone right there.
This was Sam, an hour and 13 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was a chunkier bit of album, I will admit.
That's for sure.
New Journey had so much to say.
Yeah. I would say we should just get straight into it, but I think we should wait the minute that I've got left on the oven so I can sprint upstairs real quick and do that. If you were doing the history, I would just sneak away while you're doing that, but I'm doing the history, so.
Of course, you're a journey head, as they call them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, there it is. All right, I'll be right back.
Oh, look at that, folks. I'm planning it out to the hour, and he still makes broccoli. What is broccoli, really? Like, we all know it's a vegetable. That's pretty obvious. But is it considered a flower? Since broccoli does bloom, per se. And it's high in iron. Which, I guess doesn't really have anything to do with the vegetable either way. Does go good with most dishes. Broccoli is a versatile vegetable. I will say, roasted, I think is a little better than raw. I like a nice roasted with a little bit of lemon on it. Ooh. Then you add a little bit of cheese if you're feeling like, not as healthy. Some cracked pepper and some salt. And that broccoli is a meal in and of itself.
Giving people recipe suggestions.
Oh, I'm just talking about broccoli.
Oh.
in general.
I actually had to put it back in for a little bit more. So in 6 minutes, I'll have to dash off again. But
my brother.
What do you want me to do, Cooper? Just fucking not do any chores on Audio Shop Day?
No, just make broccoli slightly earlier.
I did it as early as
you can't tell me. You can't tell me you were doing. You can't tell me you've been doing chores for the last 6 hours.
Yes.
Really? Yes. Straight through. 6 hours.
Because I had to set up the crock pot as well. So I diced a bunch of garlic, peeled and sliced some ginger, had to defrost the chicken because I forgot to take it out of the freezer, mix up the sauce, toss everything in. That was the first thing I did when I woke up because it has to go for 7 hours. And then I showered. And then I folded my laundry. If you want to come do my chores for me, be my fucking guest. I'll just sit down here and complain about you taking too long. But
I'm not complaining. I'm just complaining when it's interrupting the podcast.
I'm not gonna put shit off. Like I'll wait to do broccoli till later. Okay, well then that means I'll have to leave after the podcast. I know you guys want to watch shows.
Look at this podcast time.
Because we take this so seriously.
Well, I'd like to have a modicum of professionalism.
Oh, you want to get into it then? We'll get through history real quick, and then I'll dart off.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop Podcast. Doing a new album this week. Not brand spanking new, but pretty brand spanking new.
This year?
Yeah, Freedom by Journey. Yes, the Journey.
A new album by a not as new band.
Right, yes. I mean, you say that. This is only their 15th studio album.
I mean, that's a chunk, but I guess over the course of, when did they form? 73?
73.
So yeah, about 50 years.
Yeah,
I guess in terms of like that output, it's pretty every couple of years or so.
The last album before this one was in 2011.
Oh, wow. So this is this is over a decade in the making.
Yeah. So just give a little bit of history of Journey. American rock group, obviously. They formed in San Francisco in 1973 by former members of Santana, Steve Miller Band, and Frumious Bandersnatch. That popular band.
What was that? Say that one more time.
Frumious Bandersnatch.
Wow, it's a good thing they changed their name.
Well, no, that was a former member.
Oh, that was just
that was a members from those bands came to form Journey.
Okay.
Currently, it's Neil Sean. I don't know how the fuck you say his name. It's Schon. Sean. I don't know how you say that. And he's an original member of Journey, the only original member left. Jonathan Cain on keyboard and vocals, as well as Jason Durlatka. That's probably right. Drummer Dean Castronovo and lead vocalist Arnel Pineda. Ooh, probably butchered that one. But anyway, originally Journey was called the Golden Gate Rhythm Section and was intended to serve as a backup for established Bay Area artists. However, they perform once in Hawaii and they're like, this is going to be the main group. We're not going to be backups. And originally, Journey was a jazz fusion band.
Wow, that's from left field.
Yeah.
I can't say from their sound that I got a lot of jazz fusion from any of their work.
But that only lasted like a year and a half, and then they decided to go the more popular traditional style akin to Foreigner in Boston, who, honestly, they all get lumped up together because they sound pretty damn similar. And that's the same year that Steve Perry joined on as the new lead singer, who was the lead singer for most of the songs that you know and love. Anyway, more recently, there was a whole bunch of suing. They sued each other into the ground in 2020. Two of the band members were apparently trying to do a corporate takeover. And the two that were trying to do the corporate takeover were backed up by Steve Perry, who retired decades ago. It all got settled amicably, supposedly. But the two that were trying to do the corporate takeover obviously got booted from the band. So it's not a whole lot of crazy history going on. Obviously, it's an old band, so there's a lot of musicians coming and going. But that was that suing 2020 section was just about as big as some of the older, like the 1970s to 1980s section was the same size as the suing stuff. So, but anyway, Freedom specifically is the 15th studio album from Journey, as I said. 10 of their albums being released in 1990, so they've not really been active since then.
To be fair, I mean it's a good enough stint from the 70s to the 90s.
Yeah. On this album, Randy Jackson does the bass of American
that Randy
Idol
Jackson
fame. Yes, it's his first album performance since 1986.
Wow. Man's really brushing off the dust, huh?
Yeah. It's also the longest Journey album ever at 1 hour and 13 minutes.
That I do.
Wow, what maybe they did a lot and they did a lot of good music. 11 years. Yeah, we'll get into that. So we can get on started with track number 1 as I run and pull the broccoli out of the oven.
Yeah, I'll get my thoughts started on this one
together as we run, because I'll be honest, the thoughts you give on this one are probably going to be identical to every other song on the album.
Sam, are you saying that this album lacks sonic diversity?
Oh, I wouldn't say this is a one-track album at all. It's not like it's the same song 15 goddamn times.
Well, while Sam's getting his broccoli, I will start discussing track number one, Together We Run, which, might I say, he's not incorrect in saying that the band Journey certainly sticks to what they know on this album, which is 70s and 80s rock stylings. So your pretty basic drums, your guitar solos, the occasional ballad with some piano, like this song has, and a main focus on the front facing male vocals. I mean, the course does have some backing vocals, which are a little neat. But the average song length on this album is like 5 minutes, so you know they were really taking these, I guess, tried and true to classic rock sounds and really sprinkling them liberally throughout this album,
stretching them out to their absolute limit. Did you talk about the piano? How the start of this song sounds somehow super old school rock, despite being recorded?
Yeah, I didn't mention that. You know, throughout the album they had like these kind of what's the word, like power ballads, and of course they always incorporate a piano in that.
I mean, it's a solid start to the album. You know, it's got good backing. It has progression, which is more than can be said for most of the songs on this album. You know, it brings in some strings at the halfway point to keep things fresh. The biggest thing I had issue with is the vocals are really soft. I don't know how else to put it. It doesn't have that power behind it.
Well, I guess the singer for this album's, you know, coming up in age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the lead vocalist is. I don't know if you remember this story. I'll pull it up so I don't get it wrong. But the lead vocalist currently for Journey was discovered on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see. Where is it?
So is it a younger guy then?
I don't know his age. I can pull up his wiki profile in a second. Yeah. So following in 2007, the previous lead vocalist Soto departed, and Neil Sean began searching YouTube for a new lead vocalist.
Huh. And they found this guy then.
Well, originally he found a guy named Jeremy Hunsicker of the Journey tribute band Frontiers, who claims he was officially offered the position, but had tensions with Neil and didn't. And then where was it? Sean later found Filipino singer Arnel Pineda of the cover band The Zoo covering the song Faithfully. He was so impressed that he contacted Pineda and set up 2 days of auditions with him, which went well, later naming him the official lead vocalist of Journey on December 5th, 2007.
So they basically went and found Journey imitators to incorporate to actual Journey.
Yeah. He's 54, so he's not that young.
I mean, young compared to, I guess, probably the rest of the band.
Yeah. How old is Sean? He is...
I mean, if they're active
68.
in the 70s, I can't imagine they're... Yeah.
So, not as big of a gap as you would think. But Arnel initially was he's a Filipino singer-songwriter. He came to prominence in the 80s and internationally in 2007 when he joined Journey. So he was already doing his thing in the Philippines since the 80s. He just so happens to sound very similar to what's his face? Peter, I've already forgotten. Steve Perry.
Interesting. So the vocalist, like you're saying, is sounding maybe lacking some of the original conviction, because I guess it makes sense if he's literally imitation of the original.
Yeah, I'm sure being older doesn't help as well, because I mean, I don't know if the recorded version of Wheel in the Sky, which is one of those ones I think of when I think of power in the vocals, I think that was before Perry joined on. Because it mentions they were working on Wheel in the Sky when he came on. So possible he is the vocalist. But that's the kind of power I'm thinking of. Those earlier tracks that, I don't know, maybe it's just because he's 50. He just doesn't have the same oomph behind it, you know?
That a younger man might have.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can think. Later on, there's certainly one or two spots on this album where I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, but it's not consistent.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I guess, yeah, when you're a band this long, you're going to start going through members.
Yeah. Especially when two of them trying to overthrow the group.
Try to sue them for everything they've got.
Yeah,
that'll cause some division. Sam, can you promise me here now that you'll never sue me for ownership of the audio shop?
Yeah, I can pretty sure I can promise that.
50 years from now when we're both in our 70s.
I demand that you pay me $20 back for all of the internet I used to upload those streams to YouTube.
Sam, $20 and when we're in our 70s will be like a nickel.
Exactly.
I couldn't buy a gumball with $20.
Oh God. Anyway, jump into track number 2 if you're ready.
Yeah, track number 2. Don't Give Up on Us. And might I add that these song titles are extremely 80s rock.
Yeah. Track number 2. Don't Give Up on Us.
Yes. Yeah, no. The beginning of the song sounded a lot like Separate Ways.
It's literally the same song. It's just a worse version.
I mean, yeah. It's also by Journey, identical. So I guess they're ripping off themselves.
But I mean,
I'm like, why does this sound so familiar?
Like, do you not think people notice that you're ripping off one of your own most famous songs? Like, come on.
I mean, I guess is it ripping off if you're doing it to yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Because let's face it, this album's not exactly going for innovation here, right?
No, it is not.
It's playing to the Journey fan, so it's going to be drawing from a very tried and true, some would say tired, sound and discography.
But I mean, if you're gonna make new music, at least don't use the intro to one of your most famous songs.
Sam, they only had 11 years to write this album.
Yeah, because when this came on, I just thought I could be listening to Worlds Apart instead of this. And my favorite part is they also have the lyric "miles apart" as one of the words instead of "worlds apart."
It's different. See, they can't travel as far now in their old age.
The rest of the song does sound different, but it's just like, what's going on? That kind of sets the tone for this album, I think. Very early on, it lets you know what's going to happen.
I mean, it's not like the performances are bad.
No, no, not at all. It's fine. It's serviceable.
The vocals aren't as good as the original, but they're still serviceable, and so is all the instrumentation.
I will say, I'll get this out of the way now because I have this same comment on every single song. The mixing is terrible. In this one at 3:30, the mixing of the vocals should be higher. They're shoved into the background. Specifically at 3:30, this is the power I was looking for that I was talking about the previous song. It's got that power there, but they're so far back that it's like you're listening to somebody 2 doors down singing their apartment or something. There's the focus is on the overpowering guitar, which just feels muddy. And I'll point out my criticisms of the mixing in other songs, but it is just all over the place. I say it's all over the place, but it also feels like they just set up one mixer setting and just use that for the entire album. Except sometimes they make it worse somehow.
Not the best mixing, which you think a band like Journey would certainly have the resources available to them to mix better.
Yeah.
This isn't exactly a garage setup. Which I mean, that we've certainly heard worse mixing on some of the reviews we've done.
There's one song on
But
this
yeah,
album that has the worst mixing I've heard in some time.
so I wasn't too bothered by a lot of the mixing on this album, but you're right in terms of it being subpar or at least mediocre.
Like I said, it's fine. It's music. This one is a song made to be played through a shitty speaker at a cookout, right? It's not meant to be listened to on the radio. You're not jamming out to this in the car. This is music to have on in the background. Oh, I like Journey. Let's put on their new album. Oh, yeah, you remember this song? Oh, let's go listen to that one instead. Say all the dads as they stand around the barbecue. It's... I don't know. And plus, they faded. They did a fade out. Come on. They do proper Insta on this album.
That's at least, I guess, faithful to the original 80s mythos, right?
Which I could give them a pass on the fade outs if a lot of the songs were fading out, but they have a couple songs that end pretty well. Like I'm satisfied with the way they end it. But I guess that's just a nitpick because that's how they used to do songs, so they're going to keep doing it that way.
Well, on to track number 3, if you're ready, Sam.
Yep.
Still Believe in Love. Which is a slower, heavy, synthier, kind of smoky song. Power ballad, as they call it.
Yeah. And again, the mixing, something just makes this feel muddy and thick. I don't know what it is. The guitar in this one is pretty good. It carries the song, I'd say. It does a couple interesting things, which is more than can be said for some of the album. And again, the vocals are just lacking a certain je ne sais quoi. I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's not the original vocals. I think the vocals are pretty fine throughout this album. I actually kind of like them on this song. I mean, they're over dramatic, but it kind of fits with the, soaring guitar chords and like kind of the moodier piano and synth combo on this one.
Yeah, this vocalist is definitely more suited to doing the ballads with the little bit toned down style. The other thing, I don't know if this was just me, but the chimes, like I don't know what they're called. I know what a fucking melodica is, but I don't know what the small tubular bells are called.
I think they're just called chimes, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But the chimes, they sound cheap. Like it's a stock sound rather than an instrument recording, That might just be me, but...
Yeah, I didn't notice too much about the chimes. They're pretty far back in the mix.
Yeah. Maybe that's what made them feel cheap. I don't know. But just they came on and it was distracting for me for some reason.
They didn't get a real chime player in.
I don't.
They just had some guy in editing add them.
Maybe, I don't know. Who can say? They only had 11 years to make it. Maybe they're crunched for time.
The fans demanded it.
Yeah.
We had to release it this year.
I actually think most of this was done after the legal battle in 2020.
They got everything settled down. They're like, hey, let's pump out another album.
I think the first single that was released was shortly after everything was settled in 2021. So it might have actually been a pretty rush job.
Turn around. Especially, during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. That might have come.
Most of these guys are in the at-risk population, given that they're elderly.
Also, the current Journey members are from all over the world, so...
Right, so travel would have been more difficult.
Yeah. So, might have actually only had like a year and a half to do all of this. Anyway, jumping to track 4.
On to track number 4, You Got the Best of Me.
You got a friend in me.
You got the best of me.
It's an interesting...
What do you got to say about this song?
It's an interesting synth intro. I'm pretty sure I've heard that default setting in the music program I use. it's so chipper compared to the rest of the instrumental track. It feels wrong.
Yeah, especially given the song has chunkier guitar riffs. Um, I mean, it's a nice little extended synth outro, so it
Yeah.
kind of plays into the synth at least.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just the synth feels like a separate beast compared to the rest of the instrumental. It's not the instrumental track. It's guitar and the rest of the instruments, and then synth is over in the corner eating glue. And you know how much I love synth. So
You are a big synth fan, so I'm
yeah,
a little surprised how much you're saying it's a detriment.
it sounds very default setting. Oh yeah, it sounds good enough. We'll use that kind of thing. But I will say the the drums and the guitar
The drums.
are quite solid on this track. The solo at 2:45 is much needed, and the most memorable.
Yeah,
part of the
there's
song.
some decent guitar solos at this album.
Mhm. That's really all I had for
Oh,
this one. I'll be honest.
then on to track number 5, "Live to Love Again," which is the slowest track we've had so far on the album. A proper rock and roll love ballad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pop rock in its worst form with nothing going on lyrically. All the songs are
I mean,
4+ minutes. We get the chorus and a smattering of other lines.
do we get anything lyrically complex in any of these songs?
No, a little bit later
I mean,
on. They do a little bit more later, but it's I appreciate the slow song. I do like that they have the two slow songs. Maybe don't put both of them back to back, basically, when the rest of the album is all the same. But it's just there's not really growth. Like the first song had growth. We haven't had any since.
it's I think it's a fine rock and roll love ballad. Like you said, it doesn't really say anything particularly novel or interesting at all.
Yeah.
uh, Especially when all the focus is on the vocals. Um, no, not that a song has to have something important to say, right?
No,
To
no,
be a
no,
good
no.
song,
Just
but
not more than just the chorus would be appreciated.
yeah,
And it gets worse.
lyrics are definitely a little more on the vapid side here.
I think my biggest issue is it's just safe. That's all it is. It's just safe. Let's just do
It's
this.
it is a very safe out. It's Journey making Journey music.
Like I understand if that's what they want to make, that's what they want to make, but I can excuse like if somebody's trying something new and it doesn't land, fine, that's fine. But when you've been a band since 1973 and you're doing the exact same thing, at least like anything, if you play me half the song, probably over half the songs on this album, and tell me it was a different song, and I believe you because they're just so similar.
They very much melt together. Some of them, a little more love ballady.
Yeah.
But they all carry a very similar energy. Very I don't know. You know how like they say like if you took all the colors of the universe and averaged them, it'd be like this like light beige.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's kind of what I'm getting. I'm getting like a cosmic beige on this album.
I agree. It's not as egregious as some of the formulaic pop stuff that we've listened to, like the Imagine Dragons Origins, where every song literally had the exact same formula. But I mean, it gets pretty close. It gets worse as
And with that,
I will say.
I think we can move on to track number 6, "The Way We Used to Be."
What do you mean? You're still that way now?
Ho, 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 ho. Yeah, they certainly they certainly didn't change. I mean, this one's got a little more energy, a little more of a distinctive driving guitar line. I do a little synth line on the chorus. I'll give him that.
Yeah, really. I just think the synth in this one sounds cheap.
You're usually such a sucker for it.
I know. I love synth, so I was really surprised. It doesn't mesh with the style of the song again. It's just kind of a sore thumb.
I mean, it's definitely not the cleanest synth, and it typically doesn't do anything more interesting than its initial, line. Its initial like kind of chord progression it does.
Yeah, I don't know. It just sounds cheap to me. We did get more of that lyrical variance that I was wanting, but it's in this kind of like half singing style, which I'm not. I don't know. I'm not really vibing with that.
Yeah, it's a little more talky, but I mean, I guess it's at least vocally trying to mix something up a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's different, which it's. I didn't like it. That's fine. It was something different.
On to track number 7, "Come Away with Me," which this one starts to get a little butt rocky. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a little what?
Butt rock. You ever heard of butt rock?
No, what's that?
No, it's kind of like faux like hard rock. I was like, oh, this is so hard. That's like really lame, like kind of like think of like Kiss, right? Where they're like, ah, oh, we're so metal. And it's like they're singing "I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day."
Yeah.
It's kind of just butt rock, right?
Okay.
Which I'm getting kind of major butt rock vibes on with this very suspiciously short guitar loop that's kind of chugging underneath everything.
Yeah, no, that's pretty apt. What got me with this one was that half-assed radio filter attempt on the vocals. Did you catch that right at the start?
Radio vocals?
It is like there's just this very slight filter on the vocals at the start that's barely noticeable. It's like you can tell that they're trying to do this intro where it's like, oh, it'd be good if it sounded like you singing through a radio here. And then like 45 seconds in, it cuts off so the vocals come through fully. And because there's so little difference between the filter and the lack of filter, it doesn't have any impact whatsoever. It's just like, why is he more fuzzy in the first little bit? And like, oh, he was trying to pretend he was coming through a radio.
I didn't even catch that, honestly.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's so unnoticeable. And you could tell what they were going for. They wanted to do that classic, singing through the radio. ELO's done it a bunch of other bands have done it, where you have the first little bit of the lyrics come through radio sounding, and then it's like you're going into the radio and suddenly you can hear their voice fully, except they put like this crappy little slight fuzz to it, and that was it.
Sam, please, they're trying to branch out. Please don't stifle their creativity.
Whoever their producer is needs to be fired. Like, holy crap, the production quality of this album is really bad.
Yeah, I didn't care for this song.
And especially like you're saying the butt rock. Like, I like the main guitar lick of this song, but it's not mixed like a main guitar line. It's treated as a background element. There's better mixing on the main guitar sound seconds later on some like random stings in the left ear.
Man, I don't even like it as the main guitar line, honestly.
That's fair. And then at 2:30, you've got the guitar bass duet, but there's like echo on it, and it's mixed far back, and it doesn't really have any impact at all. It just kind of sounds like the backing track continues by itself when it's supposed to be like a duet solo kind of thing. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't care for this one.
Yeah.
Let's move past it into track number 8, "Afterglow."
Oh, such a much better song. Hey, what was the title of this one again? Oh, thanks for saying it every 2 seconds so I remember.
Hey, it's not an 80s rock song if you don't constantly repeat the name of the song. That's how people remember it.
It's the only lyric, I swear, in the song, is Afterglow. Also, is it just me or does the vocalist sound auto-tuned? There were some really odd note shifts in this one that sounded like
Maybe
modern
slightly.
auto-tune.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they used it some. They have the technology, after all.
Yeah. I mean, we got the monkey's paw wish of me wanting song progression of 2 minutes of nothing going on at the start of the song.
Some nice vocal stacking on this one, I'll say.
I mean, thankfully they repeat the song title, or else I would have forgotten it.
It's also a very dramatic song, but so is kind of the rest of the album.
Yeah.
I mean, very 80s. Love is all that we need. Keep running to love.
Yeah. I mean, the guitar on this one's good. But just I don't think there's a lot you could do to prop this up. The drums are really not helping with this one. This song should have ended in like 3 minutes. It does not need to be a 5-minute song.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of the songs on this album.
Yeah. However, I will say I do like the tubular bells. They sell those guitar hits.
No, it's a fine little, more soft rock song.
You want to move on?
Yeah, let's move it on to track number 9. Let It Rain. More butt rock.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
The clearest thing in this song is the fake organ synth that's only in the left ear. And it only plays.
Yeah, that synth is pretty garish, not gonna lie. Even I noticed.
The mixing on this one is really bad. This is the worst mixing on the album.
This is like your uncle playing at like the family get together.
Yeah. Like the fake organ synth in this one reminded me of the piano solo in From Out of Nowhere. Remember when we listened to that, Cooper? Where it's just Jeff Lynne playing the same note on the piano as a piano solo.
Hey, don't you put Jeff's name in this man's mouth?
Well, Electric Light Orchestra was mentioned in Journey's Wikipedia. I'm not making that one up.
Oh, really?
Where's the line? They have 19 top 40 singles in the United States, the second most without a Billboard Hot 100 #1 single, behind Electric Light Orchestra with 20.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So they've got...
Oh, he's the bridesmaid.
Yeah. So ELO has 20 top 40 singles. Journey has 19. But they've never had a Billboard Hot 100 #1 single.
Interesting. This one isn't ending up on any of them.
No. I mean, that line itself is kind of a nothing metric. Like, who gives a shit about the top 40 singles in the Billboard Hot 100? Those are just random lists made by corporate. But I just thought it was odd that no matter where I go, I see his face. Oh, wait, here we go.
Yeah, well, we can move past this song if you're
here we go.
Fine with
there
that.
He is. See, look, he's always watching us.
Always watching. He's always there, just beneath the surface.
Just beneath the surface, as a turkey. Yeah. One last thing I'll say about this song is it goes on for far too long. They had a ending at 3 minutes, and they just kept going. Next track is Holding On.
Holding On.
Which is odd, because I could have sworn the title was Gotta Get Next to You, since that's what they said 40,000 times. Because usually that's what they do for the title of the song. But I guess I'm wrong.
Maybe they got confused.
They are getting up there.
Like, they have a lot of songs in this album. They're not gonna remember all of them.
Yeah, this is what I thought was more butt rocky. They try and go harder angle, and it doesn't really work.
Yeah, no, this one's definitely in that same vein.
That was all I had.
And I mean, songs basically just on all cylinders, and then screaming vocals at the end. I guess that's something.
Yeah.
Also, the shortest song of the album, so that's fun.
Yeah. At least they knew what they were working with. You want to move on? Track
Yeah.
number 11.
Yeah, let's go on to track number 11, All Day, All Night.
There's the one I only wrote one thing for this. There's like in the last minute they leave a bunch of space where it sounds like there should be a solo, but there's no solo. That was like you hear the guitar and it like is really far back in the mix. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be that's supposed to be the solo that's in the front, because everything else kind of drops back to let it go, but you can't hear it.
Maybe it's like a choose your own adventure, right? You can kind of fill in your own solo during that part of the song.
Maybe. I mean, and then they fade despite nothing happening. Like, just end the song. You're not playing your instruments. Why is it fading?
No, don't. Why would I end the song where you can just repeat the chords until you have the editor fade you out? Track number 12.
Yeah, let's just go on.
Don't Go. Which is another pretty sparkling, kind of more back to the more classic 80s styling. Kind of sparkling backing synth and kind of, your classic guitar riffs under soaring vocals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's standard. The backing vocals on this one are the same as every other song. The whispery, stacked far away kind of thing going on. I will say this one had more of that power I was looking for in the main vocal line. But that's about all it's got going for it.
This one's a better step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still like not anything spectacular, but it's a listenable enough, homage to 80s rock.
Yeah, it fixes some of the qualms I had, but it's just there's not a whole lot there.
And the album's definitely long in the tooth at this point.
Yeah, when every song is 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes. Shake up your sound a little bit, at least. Come on. Maybe space out those slower songs better.
Maybe they're being paid by the song.
Maybe by the minute.
We'll go on to track number 13. United We Stand.
Which you think would be, with a title like that, it sounds like regal and like, yeah, this is going to be a song, but it's just not. It's the same structure. You get a track that's looped every 10 bars. The main guitar line is buried super far back in the mix again. It's just a very, very cookie cutter at this point.
Yeah, this one doesn't really do anything more interesting than any of the other ones. I mean, I guess the vocal performance is fine.
Yeah,
it's another standard rock ballad. All I've got to say on that one.
That's the most you can say. Jumping to track 14, if you're ready.
Track 14. Life Rolls On. Which one? This one has bongos. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, like we're on the second to last song of the album. We now this is music now. We got bongos, you got harmonies, you got organ synth and vocal mixing, which doesn't suck. We even get new growth as instruments come in for like the first 2 minutes. You get some strings, some guitar, and then at like the 2-minute mark, they just goes back to the same old fucking song that they've done for the last 13.
Look, they could only apply so much creativity into this song.
The guitar sounds like it's.
You don't want too many of the songs to be too unique, Sam.
I was so optimistic. The first 2 minutes of the song were like, "Oh wow, actually, I'm really enjoying this. This is good." And then it's just like, "Yeah, here's the same, more of the same now." I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, the guitar work's good. It's always been good. It's just not memorable.
All the instrumentation on this album is serviceable.
Yeah, it's
Randy Jackson's, doing all right.
I will say I think the bass is actually mixed a bit high. It's always ever present.
Well, Randy's got to get that paycheck.
I guess. Jumping to last track on the album, if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, last track on the album, Beautiful As You Are. Also the longest track on the album.
7 minutes. Outro to an hour-long album. Yeah, thanks for that.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't really be against having like a long last track, but this is already a pretty long album, with most of the songs being like the 5.5 minute range. So maybe a little overindulgent.
This one sounds like a live set, like that joke that they made in Futurama with Beck. It's like, usually that washboard solo doesn't last 45 minutes, but we just got into a groove.
I mean, it's the beginning's a little different. It's like a softer acoustic-led song. I mean, it switches into a power ballad at like the 1:30 mark, but at least the beginning's a little different.
I just checked out. Like, once I saw 7 minutes and it was just more of the same, I was like, whatever. I don't have anything to add. I've already said everything. It's the exact same song that we listened to.
It had like a little acoustic outro at the end.
Yeah.
After the song faded, so I guess that was a little nice. And it had a little drum break at the end as well. So doing at least a couple of interesting things on it.
Just kind of, just like, hey, you want to play some drums here? Yeah, I'll do that.
At least it was a little more different than the rest of the album.
Yeah, but in 7 minutes, it had 30 seconds of original ideas in it.
Yeah, so that's the end of this album. I feel like we kind of breezed through this one, but I mean, honestly, the album itself didn't have too much to say.
No. I mean, if you're gonna make the same, well, it's not the same song 15 times, but if you're gonna use the same themes 13 and a half times, you can only beat the dead horse so many times.
I mean, this is Journey making Journey music.
Yeah.
Can't say they're going outside their wheelhouse or their comfort zone here.
It's safe. So, Cooper, what would you say is your least favorite song on this album?
Least favorite? I definitely wasn't a big fan of the butt rock songs that are kind of taking up the middle of this album. So, like, Come Away With Me, Let It Rain.
Yeah.
Just like very faux, this is hard rock. It's like, man, it's the 2000s, the 2020s. We've gone so far past that being like hard.
Mm-hmm.
That just comes off as like disingenuous and like kind of pandery, I guess. So not a big fan of those. What about you, Sam?
Well, you just reminded me of some other thought I had while I was writing. A lot of these titles evoke memories of other better songs, right?
They are very generic titles.
Like Come Away With Me makes me think of Come Sail Away With Me. I don't know, just the titles are very reminiscent. It's like, oh, maybe they're trying to allude to this song, which is better. You should go to listen to that one instead. But anyway, my least favorite is probably Let It Rain. The mixing is just atrocious, and it goes on for an extra 2 minutes. Second to that is Afterglow. Just the vocal, very... I mean, if it's not auto-tuned, it really sounds like it. Nothing for the first 2 minutes of the song, and it's just a whole lot of nothing. I actually didn't mind Come Away With Me all that much. I thought it was okay. I really dislike that stupid radio filter thing that they completely botched.
You're really stuck on that one.
Oh, it's just bad. The album just kind of seems incompetent. Like, if you've been making music since 73, you should know how to mix.
I wouldn't even say incompetent as much as just like in full coast mode.
Yeah, but right? Not as bad as Santana. We'll give him that.
Oh God, honestly, that was my point of reference for like these kind of old bands coming back. I'm like,
yeah,
at least it wasn't Santana.
Santana's
like these guys made their own music.
That new Santana album is the worst album I've ever listened to. Imagine Dragons Origin is now number 2. So, yeah, it's. What about the favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I like Still Believe in Love. Fun little rock ballad. I don't know. What about you?
Uh, Mine's Life Rolls On, just because the hope it gave me in the first 2 minutes. I really like what it does in that first 2 minutes. The rest of it's garbage, but the first 2 minutes I was really into that. That's about it. Do you want to? It's your turn for the rating system. I did that last time.
That's true. That's true. Because we have to roll over and give ourselves a rating on this album. So here at the Audio Shop podcast, as I'm sure all of you know, me and Sam uh, drive like cars. And when I say drive like cars, I don't say like we're driving cars. I'm saying we walk around like cars. Uh, Sam is frequently seen around his neighborhood with wheels taped to each of his appendage and going vroom as he tries to go downhill and just inevitably, gets scraped and bruised by the asphalt.
14
But that
broken
hasn't
bones
stopped
this
us.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not going to stop trying because he's a car. He identifies it as it, and that's what he wants to be when he grows up. Is a full automobile man.
Well, tell him about your
So,
Carsona, Cooper.
oh yes, my Carsona is named Thunder McKing. And he's the fastest car alive. And he's voiced by Luke Wilson. So that's different.
Owen Wilson's brother.
Very different. Yes. Wow. No, so given that we're so in love with being cars, we made our audio shop rating car themed. So at the tip top, you have showroom. That's the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And all the way at the bottom, you have scrapyard. It's the bottom of the barrel. Get that away from me. And we'll give it like a use rental, fixer upper, like new, high, low in the middle, kind of depending on how we're feeling today. So Sam, how would you rank Freedom by Journey?
I think I would give it a very low used rental. Maybe even mid-used rental. I want to put it in scrapyard, but it's just fine, is what it is. I was having this conversation with my sister yesterday while we were driving to my parents, and it's just we're much harder on artists who have had good work in the past because we know you can do it, and now you're not. So what happened? Whereas if you're a new artist and you put something out, it's like, okay, well, first album, you got some growing pains, they're getting used to it, that kind of stuff. But this is it's just safe. And there's not even like a single, none of these songs sound like a single. They're all just kind of there, Nothing sticks out. It's all the same. You throw this album on shuffle and probably would be better than what the order it's in now. Yeah, I mean, if you put it on at a barbecue, sure, fine, whatever. You're not going to get people stopping saying, "Oh, yeah, I really like this song." It's just going to be, yeah, it's Journey. That's them making music. What about you, Cooper?
I'm about the same camp. Used rental. Everything you said and more. This is a album. They're not doing anything particularly special here. Particularly, it's just them doing the sounds that they became famous for. Which I guess nothing inherently wrong with that. They're playing to their audience, and being a band for 50 years, you're not exactly expected to reinvent yourselves. But I do wish they had done more. This is basically just, let's make the same music we've always made, and it's fine. It gets the job done. It's like, it's very, very. It's like a baked potato, right? Nothing on it. It's a potato. It's eatable, or it's edible. And it tastes fine.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're gonna be like, oh man, you have to eat this. You have to eat potato, man. You ever had a baked potato? It's like, it's substantive. It's there. Certainly not as cash grabby as like the Santana album that we did. Obviously, at the very least, they made songs and performed them adequately. This is all Journey, like him or not. This is they did this, so
Yeah.
I can't, like I said, go as far down as Scrapyard, but yeah, unless you're like a huge Journey fan, I really can't see recommending any of the songs off this album.
No. I mean,
Uh,
I think my rating would be brought up if they just had competent mixing. I could probably say, yeah, I might not be a huge fan of the sound, but if you like Journey, you like this album. But the mixing is horrible just throughout. And the other really egregious thing is it's an hour. Why did you make this your longest album ever? Like you're not. It's not like you're trying to shove all these ideas in. It's the same idea 15 times. So why is it the longest?
yeah, no idea. I guess maybe just after the whole lawsuit thing, they're like, hey, let's just get them all out now while we can.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But that's the album. Now we roll on over to the Spare Tire, which is just whatever else we've listened to this past week. And what have you been listening to, Coop?
I've been listening to a fair bit of Bob Marley, actually. Bob Marley and the Wailers. I never had the chance to go into his backography or his back catalog before. And I'm quite liking what I'm hearing, just reggae's genre that is fairly new to me. So I figured, start at one of the great reggae legends and kind of go from there. So, I've been enjoying it so far. Certainly a different wheelhouse than what I'm used to, but, he's famous for a reason.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
I listened to, and I've already deleted it from my phone. That band you recommended that you went to see the. I listened to Fleet Foxes. I listened through Helplessness Blues.
And what did you think?
It's all right. That's about it. It was good.
That's it.
Yeah, it was fine. Won't sit down and listen to the album again, but I like the sound. It's very America. It just didn't have that same, I don't know, hooks to get into you. Some of it was really nice. That I like the brass and stuff, but it was just, it was good. Not gonna be raving to the moon about it, but yeah, it was enjoyable. Solid album.
You gave it a fair shake.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And then during the 4-hour car ride to Chicago, listened to a bunch of stuff. Sister introduced me to, I think it's AJR. Is that who they are? Yeah, AJR.
AJR.
Which is very formulaic by the sounds of it. It looks like they just released an album every year. Very similar. They got a good sound, but I didn't hear a lot of mixing up of their style, and I listened to a smattering across all the albums, and they all sounded quite similar, so it was all right.
I can't imagine any artist ever doing that.
Yeah. What else did I listen to? Been listening to a bunch of podcasts. That was the big thing this week at work. Podcasts. Worthy Kids is on Spotify. I didn't realize that. So I've now got Friends in Low Places and Up downloaded.
Hey, well, there you go.
So yeah, but that's really it. Just listen to a bunch of stuff. Traveling Wilburys again, of course. ELO, of course. Did some David Bowie.
Your meat and potatoes.
Yeah, did some David Bowie.
Got some David Bowie.
And just a bunch of stuff. Had 4 hours to burn, so we listened to a lot of music.
It is a bit of a ride to Chicago, so
yeah. Well, that's
all
the podcast.
Right.
If you've liked what you heard and you want to hear some more, you can head on over to YouTube and just scroll down in the Twitch, and there's a picture of a guy with curly hair and aviators. That's Jeff Lynn, our Lord and Savior. And he'll take you to YouTube, where all of our past episodes are, minus the Supertramp episode Lost to Time. And if you're on YouTube and you want to listen to us live and get me clips of Cooper explaining his Carsona in the chat, you can click in the YouTube description and it'll take you to our Twitch, where we're usually, in quotations, live 8 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. Is next Sunday going to work, Coop, by the way?
I'm gonna say yes. I will be moving here soon, so there will be a bit of a gap come August. But I believe in the meantime we should be good to keep going.
Okay, well,
week to week.
If you do need to push back, no worries. No point in making your moving any more stressful than it has to be.
No, I want to review 8 albums the week of my move.
Yeah. What about Twitter?
Each one a different. Well, if you want to follow us at Twitter, please look us up at Audio Shop Pod. That's POD. You'll see that below in our Twitch description. And we'll keep you up to date with what we're listening to and when we're listening to it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you before there, Coop. What were you saying about listen to a different album?
Oh, no, just listen to a different Journey album every day of the week.
Yeah, do a podcast every night on the week you're moving.
Yes. I'll be on an airplane.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Yeah, that. Yeah, you could just use your headphones microphone. That'll sound great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the show. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, and we will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
See you.